What's going on, guys? My name is Doug. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be putting you guys onto, well, actually I'm going to be also put onto a new artist. This artist goes by the name of JayTrey, and he hit me up on Instagram and asked me if I could take a listen to his new album called Phoenix, and that's what I'm going to be doing today. I've also got some more videos coming out this week that you guys should be ready for. And if you would like a video of a project for yourself, hit me up on my Instagram just like JayTrey did, and I would love to have that conversation with you. So yeah, this album is 14 tracks long. That's really about as much as I know about it. I'm really excited to be listening to some new music and to hopefully find the new artists that I could follow and keep up with and listen to all their music. You know, that's kind of the goal here. I'm going to be listening to the music and critiquing it as always, and so I hope you guys are ready to get into it. I know I am. So thank you all so much for being here, and yeah, support the channel any way that you can. Patreon, subscribing, follow me on my social media, all that good stuff. And let's get into it. The first track is Rain. By the way, it's extremely hot, so I'm gonna be wiping away my sweat. Love the guitars. I'm liking all the voices, dude. It sounds awesome.
This game here is my enterprise. I'm fully loaded with a dark mind. These gems of life I've been baptized. These vibes come alive in the nighttime. Time is broken, different motions from the frost. Yeah, I noticed. I fade my focus. You keep playing games like it's full of tokens.
Oh my god.
Cold 2 pockets, slim, that light is dim. Keep playing hot till we hit the brim. I'm that $1 million baby.
For 2 years, I've questioned your judgment, but now I'm beginning to doubt what you had in mind.
We don't need a monarchy. We just need a system that will work for everyone.
For years, I've supported you. Every decision you've made.
Alright, so that was a really interesting intro. There was that really cool opening section with all the vocals, and the track kind of builds up. He goes adding more and more vocals, and it sounds fuller and fuller until the beat drops and he starts rapping over this kind of fast-paced beat, actually. He's got kind of like a faster approach to it. The hi-hats go insane, dude. So many different rolls and all of that. And then it kind of like ends off with this conversation between, I guess, a king and somebody who is not going to be supporting him anymore because they don't follow the same ideals or something like that. That's kind of what it sounds like to me. But it's a very captivating first track, that's for sure. It's very interesting. It kind of hooks you into it. It's got very different approaches to it, and I like the mixing on it. I think it sounds clean. I like the hi-hats and how crisp they sound. I like the low end. The bass sounds great, you know. The vocal mixing is clean. You can understand what he's saying. The verse is great. The flow is nice. It's tight. It's, you know, right on beat. He plays a lot with his flow, matching the hi-hat rolls, which I thought was really interesting. Rappers like Eminem like to do that a lot. Like if you listen to Toy Soldiers, every single syllable that Eminem spits matches perfectly with the snare rolls, you know, that military snare march. So, you know, a lot of rappers like to do that, where they match their flow to a specific piece of the drum kit. And I thought that was pretty interesting as well. So it's a great track. I enjoyed that. That was dope. The next track is Brimstone Keys, I believe. Yeah. Wow, the building synth sounds very majestic.
Yeah.
Did you produce these?
Yeah.
They sound very unique. They sound like they have a very cool, ethereal style to them.
Searching for purpose. Look at the competition, it's such a disservice. How much you niggas I find don't truly deserve it. It's all the tones when I'm speaking. Fix up your tone when I'm preaching. The verse I kick is like reading scriptures. I have shit.
I love the flow, man. You can tell how much effort he puts into writing the song.
I get it now, like Popeye smuggle spinach. B. Cooper got no limits, like my words increase the tension. I don't really drink.
These strings that end this track off are very, very nice. They're epic. So you can tell how much effort he puts into actually being a wordsmith and a lyricist, and how much effort and time he takes to write out his songs and his verses. A lot of people just overlook that portion. They go into choosing a fire beat and then saying whatever they can to just create a nice vibe with the beat. A lot of people are into that music nowadays, and there's a whole different subgenre now of hip-hop, you know, the trap, the mumble rap, and the actual rap that used to be all of hip-hop now is just a category of, or a subgenre of a larger genre, which is hip-hop. And that real rap, that lyrical rap, is not as prevalent as it used to be. You know, it's not as mainstream, but it's still dope to see that there's a whole lot of artists out there that are taking the time to perfect that craft of wordsmithing, of being a lyricist, of telling a story with their lyrics. You know, it's really nice to see that, especially with people who are on the come up. You know, this whole new generation of lyricists. K Hella is another guy that I like to put people onto a lot. such a dope writer, you know, and he's a younger guy, you know, so it's really great to see that rise in lyrical hip hop. You know, I don't think it'll ever go away. Honestly, people will always want to tell stories through songwriting. So if anything, the other trends that are coming up now will eventually evolve into other things and die off, but the lyrical rap will, you know, it will continue to evolve, but its core will always stay the same, I believe. I really like that about this track. I love how ethereal and epic and emphatic the production is, you know, the really cool rising synths, the strings towards the end. It really gives it like an epic cinematic feeling. It's a really cool song. Next track is En Fuego, and it's featuring Brittany J. Going for a little dance hall vibe?
Time waster, I know you seen them all. I guess you need a man who gon' call. I guess you need a man so involved.
Okay, so right now we've got the snare doing that very typical dance hall / reggaeton snare pattern. I do like the 808, the bass that he chose. I think that it's interesting that instead of keys, he chose like a string synth, you know, like a violin synth. I think it sounds very interesting. It's got a really cool lead to it as well. The na 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 na, that little lead is very, very nice. You know, it's a different take on dancehall. It's a more minimalistic take on dancehall for now. You know, I don't know if the beat will include some other elements later on, but I like it. I think it's dope. It shows some versatility as well. I will say one thing that I am noticing is that the vocal mixing is very clean. You can understand everything, but I would add a little bit of compression or volume to the vocal just to make it a little louder. You know, because I'm having to turn the actual song up itself to try and hear the vocals. So I think that in the mix, the vocals could be just a little bit louder. That's all. Not necessarily, they're not like muffled or unclean or anything like that, or unclear. They just need more volume. It's a simple fix.
Girl, I like addicted to the finer things, but you won't fight. Do you see me like
oh, the keys came in now. Okay. He also switched up the clap.
Ain't no telling all the things I would do.
His voice kind of sounds like Lupe.
Oh shit, you taking over. You the baddest chick from the States to coast. We gon' let it up everywhere we go. We gon' let it up, we gon' let it.
Yo, that's fire, bro. Like I said towards the beginning of the track, this shows real versatility. This shows that you have a great ear. It sounds like you produced these. So I'm going to roll with that theory. And it shows versatility. It sounds like you've got a great ear for creating vibes and for adding really nice instruments to the beats. You've got this very... it's similar to the mindset that I have when I go into producing a beat. I don't like it. I really, you know, a lot of times nowadays the most minimal beats are the nicest and they're the most fire and they're the catchiest and whatever, but I always like adding the cinematic elements, the bells. I like adding the strings and the synths and the leads, and there's just so many different little layers to the beat that I love to add. And I really get the sense that that's what's going on in some of these tracks. I can really appreciate all the different things that go on, you know, like when the keys first come in with the little shimmering, it sounds like wind chimes. I noticed that the sound that you use for the clap switches up in order to kind of like sound a little better in the beat, because when you add the other instruments, the first clap wouldn't have sounded as nice, and things like that, you know, little touches that go into making a beat. I'm going to be posting a beat today that I had to mix like I had to mix and export and then listen to it and then remix and export, and I did that like 15 times until I thought that it was just right. So, you know, just the little things like that I really appreciate. You know, this song is great. It's got a very fun vibe to it. I like that. Next track is Sapphire / Pillage.
Big jewels for what the kids do, ignore for notoriety, aiming to get views on all of their platforms. I feel like Drake, always into my business. I try shit the wisdom.
This has got a really great old school feel to it.
Kids don't get along, the fights are breaking in the school, education for more. Wish I could solve it all.
Beat switch up.
Your windows is fogging, my knees are clogging. Look at the way that I'm bombing. Flow just started, go don't go reach up. I can't say that shit. Ricky smiling in the morning, taking early morning, told the marijuana, not seeing both the nations of.
I love that vocal sample in the background, man.
Look what it cost us.
Dude, you went off for like almost 6 minutes, bro. I'm loving the progressions in the song, the beat switches, you know, the first beat switch where the first part of the beat starts glitching out and it transitions into the second part. It's really dope. I love the little vocal samples that come in towards the third part, you know, how the beat slows down a little bit. You know, all of that. There's just this sense of progression throughout the track, a sense of moving forward. There's a sense of like evolution, so that you're never getting stagnant. Your track never plateaus. It's always on this rise until it ends, you know, and that's so awesome. It's so hard to come by in some songs that are longer like this one. But you managed to execute this really well. A lot of people know how I feel about longer tracks. If you've got a track that's 6 minutes long, that's basically 2 songs in one, in my point of view. And you managed to keep it interesting throughout the entire thing. So, you know, this is a really cool song, and it's execution that I can appreciate. So, props to you for that as well. This is Big Payback. The scratching is dope, dude.
I stand up, Harvey Dent in the darkest of night. I'll test your luck every
I feel you, bro.
About a pussy.
I see the wordplay.
A bad one with mad slugs murdering each other. It's unsettling, the dust is measuring the block and each other. So I'm posted at the bar, wondering who the givers or the takers. I can't ignore, I'm feeling dumb. Yet, fuck you too.
Man, dude. The leads, man, the synths, the little cell phone sound, it's all awesome. It's not an actual cell phone sound, but that's what it sounds like. There's some real life struggles in here, man. I'm telling you, man. This life stories, man. It's what people talk about in rap music. The storytelling, you know, venting about their struggles, venting about the stuff that people go through, venting about how messed up the system is and how dishonest, and venting about the inequality. I mean, venting about all of that. It's the stuff that's going to keep rap alive, man. And that's what I see here. That's what I see is the passion, the aggression, the frustration, you know, just talking about these sad situations, dude. The beat is wavy, you know, it's that vibe. It's that boom bap, subtle synths in the background, storytelling vibe, you know, with the drum sounds sound like they come straight from the 90s, you know, it's that style, and it's a great track. Like I said, the execution is what's very surprising. You know, it's what's getting to me the most is how well these tracks are executed. Next track is November 3rd. That's smooth.
This is something you can vibe to, late night, dark room, or whatever you want. It doesn't matter, play it loud. Doesn't matter, play it loud. Just kick your back and let's all roll the ganja, drink a monster.
That bass is so good, dude.
Like bringing people together to form a government with more structure and order.
Yes, until people in the government become corrupt and powerful. Isn't this what we're trying to avoid?
Towards the end there, we get this little skit where this person is talking to, it sounds like a demon or something like that, but they're talking about structures of government and how the monarchy, the demonic voice kind of seems to like the idea of a monarchy because having one person in control might prevent the corruption, and the other person's idea is that by involving more people, sure, you run the risk of corruption, but it becomes more egalitarian, things can become more equal, more people in power increases the chances of that corruption being rooted out, found out, and then expunged. And then he says that he has an idea. Now in terms of the song, it's almost like an interlude. It's very wavy. It's got that really nice late night vibe to it. The standing bass sounds great. That really wavy guitar just does everything, you know. It's a really smooth song. So that was pretty enjoyable. And then yeah, I'm interested to hear now what that guy's idea is. You know, the next track is Aries Awakening, and if I'm not mistaken, I do believe Aries is like the god of war. So I don't know. We'll see what happens.
You can save all adulation, never been one to adore. I'm a fiend, nothing more. Fucking up horse, let them scream to the horse. You can send your
that flow is crazy.
So taking them back, please slide out. Aries rising up from the ground. Talk my shit, I've never been allowed. This is how I started dealing party.
That flow is nuts.
Got this more than any talk. You hear my course, you taking notes. I hear reports, my last was
so those crazy arpeggiated synths really remind me of like 80s pop music, but he managed to turn it into a hip hop song, which again is that creativity. You know, that creative process must have been insane, you know, taking those synths and being like, all right, we're going to add these crazy hi-hats over it, we're going to add these hip-hop snares, and we're going to rap over this beat, and it's going to work. And it sounds like this outer space alien rap, you know, it's crazy, but it sounds really fun. And oh shoot, my bad. The production has really been wowing me on this project so far. The flows, the execution, the performance as well, the subject matter to the lyrics, the wordplay, it's all been very, very good. That one was probably like one of the most faster paced songs that I've heard so far in this project, and he was able to keep up really, really well and stay on beat, which is something that I look for a lot. So again, it's just that flawless execution, dude. You know, it sounds great. Next track is Miracles. I'm already digging the string sample. I love the social critiques, the social criticism when it comes to the internet and how jaded people get and how people are blinded by it. I think that every single point that you've made so far in that aspect in this project has been spot on. You know, I totally agree with that. So like I'm saying, the lyricism is really great. I love this beat, dude.
That's what we abide in. Niggas breaking laws, go to church just to buy cents. Cop pull them over. Nigga 30 locked in, private low key.
Yo, it's soulful, it's relevant, you know, it's truth, it's fun, it's bouncy, it's wavy. It's everything that anybody who came up on hip hop would really appreciate, for sure. That sounds awesome as well. I'm loving the string samples. I'm loving the very soulful women singing, you know, the vocal samples. It's all very well executed. It's all very well presented. The mixing, again, is clean. You know, it sounds nice. It sounds creative. It's an interesting twist on a typical 90s hip-hop beat. It's very fun to listen to. It's like a trip through memory lane, you know, it's like this blast of nostalgia. It's really nice. The next track is Blueprint. This almost sounds like the intro to one of those 90s cop movies, you know? Like buddy cop movies.
I just wanna be like Will Smith with all that he has. I'm afraid, but I hear you talking all that jazz. Said that I would be nothing. Now you bitches gonna feel my rap.
Is that a shout out to Jazzy Jeff?
Feel like I'm above, feel like I'm above, feel like I'm above all these niggas.
He really sounds like Lupe, bro.
Got this vision in mind.
That's that stock gunshot sound from FL Studio.
Governments and systems that are designed to make everyone feel like they're serving a common goal.
Yeah, so we get another skit there at the end criticizing world governments and the corruption that abounds in every single form of government throughout the world. I thought it was pretty funny to hear the stock gunshot sound from FL Studio. I immediately recognized it because one of the first beats I ever made that I was proud of on FL Studio featured that gunshot as a snare, actually, during one point of the track. I thought it was being super creative, and I recognized that sound. I just thought that was funny. Yeah, I liked like the stealthy, like sneaky kind of vibe to the little keys in the background and the bass line. You know, like I said, it sounds like the intro to one of those 90s buddy cop movies. Like, that's the kind of vibe that I'm getting from it. It sounds really interesting and smooth, you know? And he's hungry. You could tell that from what he's saying in the lyrics, you know, talking about coming up, wanting to be like Will Smith, wanting to be like the Fresh Prince and all that jazz, which I do believe to be a shout out to DJ Jazzy Jeff. You know, for those of you who don't know, who he was kind of like Will Smith's DJ. You know, he kind of made the beats that Will Smith would rap on. So I do think that that's some clever wordplay, you know, stuff like that. And yeah, man, the hunger to be successful is there. And he lists some of the reasons why. Talks about some of the hardships while he was growing up, some of the struggles. And it's a relatable track, and it's interesting, you know, to see somebody so hungry to be successful. It's, again, refreshing to listen to somebody with true hunger and not somebody who's already made millions of dollars still rapping about how hungry they are for more. You know, it feels more authentic, which is part of the reason why I like it. Next track is in Richmond. I like how he plays around with old school vibes and newer sounds as well.
I can't let it go. I can't let it go. I can't let it go.
Individuals with things they have. We're reality. I'm praying every night, wake up to a chick in the jag.
Oh, no, all I want is that diamond. All I want is that beamer.
So suspicious.
Okay.
My God, I reached the heavens. I've been trying to shape my mind to what you expected on a long toss with family friends.
So that's again another interesting track about wanting to be successful and not wanting to let go of that hunger, that pride that keeps him going, that motivation. I do think that the synths are very interesting. There is a reversed synth that sounds really nice. It's kind of like a pad, sets that mood. The arpeggiated synths over that, the higher pitched ones, sound really dreamy and like they're very reverberant. There's a really low pitched piano that comes in about halfway through the track that sounds really nice. It adds some bass, some oomph to the track. I do think that the staticky snare is very Kanye West-ish, like when he produced Find Your Love for Drake. It sounds like that, that was some inspiration to him, for sure. A very interesting production, very interesting to listen to, very fun, very creative elements to it. The mashup, like I said, of older school vibes with newer sounds. It's just been very versatile. The next track is Lion's Den featuring Alan Michael Cabasa. I might have butchered that, my bad.
She expects the best from me, but I keep letting her down on her expectancy. I rap, that's not 7 times, but I see everybody put hashtags and bitches feeling to let me find the truth I see. Nobody can see impractical practice while I lay on the match. Stop the button, the block, you let the enemy speak.
That percussion is so awesome.
In the lion's den, I feel so alone, caged up and
mark what trials and tribulations, hospitalization won't help.
That chorus was zippy.
What will they get me through and through after a long day? I say contemplate on my mistake, serve it on a dinner plate and I...
Yeah, so that chorus by Alan Michael Cabasa was pretty iffy in his performance. It didn't sound confident. It sounded like he was holding back, JayTrey sounds so much more comfortable on the mic than Alan does. And you can tell in the way that he performs and the way that he seems to go all out with his energy and he puts all of himself into it. It kind of felt like Alan was holding back a little bit. Maybe he was uncomfortable. Maybe he was, in a place where he wasn't really able to be very loud. But it does sound like it could have been executed a little better. Something about it sounds like it's a little off key, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, it's an interesting song. I was really digging it when that percussion came in. I thought that was going to be really cool, but that chorus just kind of made this track okay for me, Next track is Worth It featuring Bianca Sings.
Fresh off a work day. Wasn't looking for love, but you caught me in the first place. Keep it struck in some way. I can start my life with 2 other lassos. The way life goes, and I know you hate fighting, but our flame is gone. We can't carry on. We can't keep this up. We gotta move along. And then when you go, now you wanna ask me how? Because it's you, my darling. Can't live without.
Yo, Bianca sounds great. Yo, Bianca sounds great on this track. But yeah, she sounds so sultry, so sensual, very smooth. I love the way her voice sounds on this song. I think that the vibe to this is very wavy. It's very laid back. It's very relaxing. It's smooth. The little guitars in the background are so nice. This is a nice track, bro. Next track is Allegiance.
For me, make me stay. I done paid my due. I'll jack a trade them for other, that's just how it goes.
that's how it goes.
And the weather ain't nice.
Love the strings in the background. Yeah, that one's touching, that one's vulnerable and real and sincere and honest. And I will say, he doesn't have the best singing voice, but again, it's the authenticity, it's the fact that he's being real and vulnerable and opening up about these things that hurt him, that make him feel that way. That keep this song interesting, that make it interesting to listen to and to relate to. Maybe a little auto-tune in his vocals would have done a little bit to help him, but for the most part, this is a really nice song, man. It really is. I'm loving the strings, I'm loving the keys, the very minimal drum pattern. It's all very nice to set that laid-back vibe. The last track on this project is Grace.
Held in captivity, fresh up out of the slave ship. My ancestors did more than work in the grave shift. The early mornings in the water with theory. It's hard to find your freedom when you keep digging the trenches. Scriptures and sermons to alleviate my issue. I just say by the grace. I just
just say by the grace, y'all.
Love those keys, bro.
Just say by the
A world of lies and deceit? Is that what you want?
I wish you use your power to simply bring peace to land.
Yeah, so in the end, he asks for this God's powers to kind of establish peace in society and to kind of make people realize that the power comes from being in a community of people and not from these sole singular figures that are, you know, in the limelight, as he says. That's a really nice song. I love the production to it. It's got that really nice, jeez, my dog, sorry about that. It's got this really nice vibe to it. It's got this really old school, you know, early 2000s, late 90s kind of vibe that he raps over, and he talks about some of his ancestors and the slavery and how they managed to escape and searching for freedom, searching for peace, struggling to survive, fighting against the oppression, fighting against the systematic racism, you know, and all of that. Being saved by grace. You know, it's a very nice song to close this project off, man. I really like that. So JayTrey with his project Phoenix really shows this project, this image of tearing down people that are in power, that are established in their corrupt positions, and they're singular people, tearing them down and bringing power to a community of people to make things more equal, to bring better peace to the land, and kind of having civilization, society as a whole, rise from the ashes like a phoenix, which is the title of the project. I can totally see how that image works for the concept of the album. I think that it was presented very well throughout the project. I think that everything about this was very well executed. There were little things here and there that you could find a fault with. I mean, add a little auto-tune to your vocals so that you sound a little better when you sing, add a little bit more volume to your vocals so that your voice stands out a little more from the production. But things like, those are minimal details. You know, you could still have so much enjoyment from this project because of the versatility, because of the awesome displays of songwriting and lyricism. The wordplay is so fun to dissect and to catch all the little references that he makes. You know, the production is so fun to listen to. There's so many little different elements that go on that keep the songs fresh. Even the longer songs, he manages to keep them interesting by adding skits at the end and beat switches in the middle. All of this was very, you could tell it was thought out through and through. It was planned, and he executed his plan very, very well to tell one cohesive story about not only a person who is struggling to survive and to achieve success and rise from the ashes of his circumstances and his life, but a person who takes godlike powers and helps to society to rise out of the ashes of the corruption that it currently sits in. So I thought that was very, very cool about this project. JayTrey, you did your thing. Thank you so much for sending this project into me. I had a blast listening to it. If you would like to listen to this project yourself, the links are all in the description. Be sure to check out the project, give it a listen, hit JayTrey up, let him know how he did, and like I said at the beginning, if you would like me to review a project of yours, hit me up on my Instagram. Support the channel in order to help support me and these up-and-coming artists that I review. You can do that by subscribing, by following me on my social media, by supporting the Patreon. You could do so for as little as $1. You could check out the tiers and all the different rewards. And yeah, I will see you all in another video very soon. I've still got to get that Summer Walker video out to you guys, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Stay safe, guys, until then. Peace out.